Built a dope live wall in my house, so let me show you how I did it.
All right, so the first step is measuring and cutting out the frame. As my dad always says, remember, measure twice, cut once, makes your life easier. Once you've got it laid out, I use 2x4s, but once you've got it laid out, measure from corner to corner, make sure everything's squared up so that it's all even. Once you get that done, you're gonna go ahead and use a canvas drop cloth, spread it all across the back of the project, and then make sure you stretch it tight and use a staple gun to fasten everything in place. This is kind of what you should end up with, and then you're going to use a razor knife to remove the excess drop cloth from around the edges.
All right, unfortunately, I forgot to show this part in the video, but it's really important. Why my head look like a potato? It's really important. So I used a 1x2 to essentially I screwed a piece in here, and then it went over to here, and I screwed the other end in here, and I cut it off flush with the frame. This is going to be on the back side, so essentially over top of the canvas once it's stretched and stapled, and that's going to ensure that the frame doesn't want to like warp and twist when you go to set it.
Once you've got that finished, we're going to go ahead and flip it over and use Drylock Original Waterproofer. And we're going to coat the entire inside of the wall and make sure you get it all the way around on the frame and everything. Wait for it to dry and do a second coat. Make sure you get it all in the cracks and everything, because this is what's going to seal it and make sure that you don't end up with mold or anything like that. Then saran wrap a ton of pots all the way around and lay them out on the canvas wherever you would like your plants to be. Go to Walmart and buy almost all of their GE foam and go ahead and start spraying your pots in place. This stuff will expand, so there's no need to go too crazy thick in one spot. Make sure that you get it all around the edges of the pot and the bottom. Try not to get too much on the top because it's just going to be excess you'll have to remove later. And then go through and kind of just make sure it's all irregular in there so that when it expands, it looks more natural. And this is what you'll end up with once you take the saran wrap off of the top of the pots where you're going to drop your plants in. I then went back and spray painted it with a flat black all the way around the entire project and went back over it with some gray and light tan to make it look more natural. So when you're finished painting it, you should end up with something that looks kind of like this. I then went back and chiseled out above where I'm putting some of the pots because some of them wouldn't fit. And it's not a big deal because the plants will cover it. You won't really see it. I then used some of those foam chunks to add a spacer so that when I drop the plants down in, they're at the appropriate height, and voila. And if you want to get really creative, you can add some thunderstorm clouds above your head like I did.